This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, what's happening, man? It's another day, another Sweep the Rack. I feel like we got some stuff to talk about this week. We were just
there's always for bowling being like dying. It's like the corny sport. We've been doing this podcast for years, and I have to say, there's always something to talk about, bro. There's always something to talk about.
Yeah, I think this week the new drama that's unfolding the last few days is not even like a bowling drama. It's a YouTube content drama.
YouTube
which is
content creator drama. Better than the bowling drama, maybe.
Maybe. That's our space, right? So, like, I always think about, like, if this happened with me and Mike, the difference is with us is we've been friends for so damn long that we wouldn't let, like, a show and this shit kind of, like, come in between us. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, when your friendship is that rooted.
Okay, but a lot of what this disagreement, it sounds like, boils down to is money, right? I mean, I listen to most of it, and it sounds like it's about money, right? So, number one, to say again, this podcast cost us money. Okay, I want to be clear. I want to be clear about that. This podcast cost us money. All right, so all you people out there thinking, oh, I'm going to get in this game. These guys are making bank. I'm going to get in here and get a piece myself. Guess what? There ain't no pie to get a piece of, bro. I hate to tell you, okay? But, you know, for those bowling content creators that have hundreds of thousands of followers, obviously it might be a little bit of a different story in terms of the revenue that they generate. And, yeah, it sounds, you know, like I said, it sounds like it's over money. What has come between a lot of good relationships, good things, good pairings, good teams, etc., etc. Money, you know, money. It's always about the money, right? So,
we'll talk a little bit about it and we'll get through it. But I was just thinking, we were just talking about it when we went prior to going on air, and
but we also know, what do people love? What do the people love? The people love a good beef. The people love a good beef between the content creators. You know, when do we get the most emails? When do we get the most responses? When I'm talking about the King of the Patch Pirates, son. When the King of the Patch Pirates is on my mention list, which he is again this week. Did anybody see this dope's motive? He did a Mount Rushmore of motive balls. Did anybody see this? Come on, bro. Somebody get a hold of your boy. Okay? Somebody get a hold of your boy. All right? Mans did a Mount Rushmore of motive balls and did not put the purple Venom Shock.
Oh, man, I kind of feel like you have no credibility after that.
You're done. His Patch Pirate status ought to be revoked. Okay? His deal ought to be revoked. Brett Spangler, where are you at, bro? Get your boy under control. Okay? Get your boy under control. All right? Yeah, somebody in the chat said he didn't have the Primal Rage on there either. I know. How do you not have the red ball or the purple ball on the Mount Rushmore of motive balls? That might be the dumbest thing I ever heard. Okay? Seriously, get a hold of your boy. The King of the Patch Pirates. The King of the Patch Pirates is out here wowing. Okay? Somebody come control your boy.
Come get your boy.
Come get your boy. He's had enough of whatever he's doing. Okay?
Oh, anyway. All right, Mike. Did you bowl league this week? Let's get the league review.
I did bowl league. I'm locked in for league for the rest of the summer, I think.
Can I take a guess what you bowled? 670, 4 missed spares.
690.
Oh, 690
again. Yes, I think like 687. I think there was a bad game in there somewhere, 190 maybe. Yeah, mostly because of missed spares. The other two games were like, I don't know, 250, 250, 240, 260, something like that. Game breaker 4, bro. Game breaker 4. Can't miss the hole. Game breaker 4. That's it. That's all you need. Game breaker 4. Step in. Stay away from the dry. We're good to go. Don't miss the hole very much.
Gotcha. Cool. Any drama in the league? Anything interesting to talk about other than your 690s and 680s?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's a fun league. It's a fun league.
I know. But
I'm having an enjoyable summer bowling.
I've bowled some fun leagues that have turned into complete like drama fest competitive leagues, especially these Vegas fun leagues. They're actually probably more competitive, some of those Vegas fun leagues, than like the big handicap and scratch leagues that I've bowled in my life.
It's one of the things I don't like bowling about. I don't like about bowling on the easier stuff. I don't want to talk too much about it, but
wait, tell us how you feel, Mike, because it's not like anybody really knows.
There's, I get, and I don't. Maybe I'm patting myself on the back too much here. I don't know, but
probably
I throw it good. Like I'm not a good bowler by any means. Am I cutting out? Am I back?
No, we can hear you. You just kind of
okay.
Your internet's off. Your internet is like your headset.
Yeah, I'm looking into mics. I'm looking into new mics. So I appreciate everybody's comments about my mic situation and my headset. People want to see it like your mic. I feel like it's a trademark at this point.
That's like your mic.
So like if you watch me bowl, like I throw it good. I'm not a good bowler. I don't think I'm good. I don't think I'm throwing it well or consistently, or like I don't really like a lot about how I'm throwing it, but I throw it good. Like you watch me and be like, oh yeah, this guy, like he has clearly put some time into developing how he throws the ball, right? So I feel like a lot of times when I bowl in these types of league environments, it always happens where once in a while you match up against somebody who really wants to beat you. And they're not always very subtle about it. And yeah, it just drives me crazy. It just drives me crazy because I'm really just there just to, have fun, throw the ball, have a good time, talk to the people I'm there bowling with. If I shoot a score, I shoot a score. Great. If not, not a big deal. But then, and I talked about this in my article on the 11th frame about house shots a while back. It's like you have other people who are coming into that house shot environment looking to beat people's brains in, right? No matter who they're bowling, no matter who they're matched up against, they want to win. They want to shoot the higher series. They want to shoot the high series on the pair, whatever it is. And I don't know. I don't find that environment to be a very enjoyable environment competitively. I think it's an enjoyable environment if you want to have fun and just relax and have a nice, easy night of bowling. It's great. But once we say, okay, this is now a competition, right? I think that's where I kind of draw the line of like, all right, now I only want to be competing on something that is more rigorous, right? But what happens in these league environments, I'm saying, is that I'm not really there to compete, but you have people that come in and want to compete with me or compete with my team. And it's like, all right, well, now I'm in what I view as a non-competitive environment, but I'm being invited in a way to come and bowl in a competitive manner, right? And I just wish it was totally non-competitive, and I wish that once it switches over to that competitive side, that we're now forced to bowl on something of a more rigorous nature. But I shot
feel like
690. That's my league.
Yeah, though I feel like you're gonna get that whatever you do, and not just bowling. Like you're gonna get that if you're playing bags at a tailgate, if you're playing darts at a bar, if you're there with a bunch of friends and you're just having fun and you're doing it. How many times do you like bet your friends and it gets competitive, like playing just some random things you do when you go out for like those type of events? And I feel like bowling's the same way. It's just competitive. It's human nature to be competitive. Like you're doing a sport.
But the thing about bowling is that the environment that you're competing in is fraudulent.
They don't know that, though. They don't know that.
Well, a lot of them do. They just ignore it.
Well, they don't know that.
All know that. I mean, I know
that.
I should be able to say, like, hey, if we're going to compete, let's compete on something real. I mean, like you brought up darts. If two people are playing darts in the book, no, I'm sorry, you're going to poo-poo on my comment, then I'm gonna rebut you, son. Okay. If two people are playing darts in a bar, they're both playing on a regulation dartboard. Okay, they're playing on the same dartboard that professional dart throwers play on. Okay, so if one of those people hits a bullseye, they hit their accuracy, their throw had to be as quality a throw as the professional dart players who hit a bullseye. Okay, bowling is not like that. Bowling is, we're going to be in this competitive environment, but we're going to do so in an environment where a higher level of skill is not needed or rewarded. Okay, and that's it's just dumb. It's dumb. That's what I'm saying.
I could just see you getting on the approach with literally like one of those big ass microphones and be like, stop. If we're bowling competitively, bring out the oil machine, rerun them, put out US Open, and let's bowl. Because I'm not bowling on this fraudulent stuff.
Why not? Why shouldn't it be that way? Go ahead, answer that. Stand on that. Why shouldn't it be that way?
Look, I'm not saying you're not like right in regards to the fraudulent side. I think we've agreed, and this has been a topic of conversation since we started the show years ago. All I'm saying is when you're bowling in these type of like fun leagues and they're in the house shot, you're gonna get people that are gonna want to beat you. It's just the nature of it, of how it's gonna be. You can't get away from that.
But see, it's just, and then at the end of the night, if they beat me, okay, and I say, oh, hey, good bowling, whatever, whether it's genuine or not. If I were to turn around, and I were to say, oh yeah, by the way, on Tuesday nights we bowl on real conditions. If you want to ever come out and bowl on that, if I were to say something like that, then I'm the bad guy, right? Yeah. And it's like, no. What? It's just, it's so dumb to me that this is where we've gotten with bowling. It just is. It's just so dumb. It's like you play golf, you play the real game. You play any other game, you play the real game. You play bowling, there's two versions.
I could argue with golf being an easy version and a hard version too. I could argue with you on that in that area. I mean, golf courses could make greens straighter. They can make them flatter. They can make roughs shorter. They can make fairways bigger.
I think most of the time that's going to be identified.
Yeah, because you can see it. In bowling, you can't see it.
That's clearly identified in some way, whether it's
bowling, you can't see it,
or the yardage of the course, or whatever, the rating of the course. There's several ways that golf identifies course versus course, right? Again, come on.
I'll tell you though, that's a good idea though. That's a good idea the USBC should do, and they should look into like a easy rating system for bowling centers. Like they do, like that would be an interesting conversation, because imagine if they were to figure out how many honor scores. Remember we talked about Woodland Lanes and your viral clip.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting if they were like to, let's just say they made that being the easiest bowling center in Michigan and had the easiest rating. And then they rated all of the bowling centers in the state on a rating level of whatever it is. And people understand that, and it could be interesting to see what like that would have an effect in the bowling world. But I think that's a pretty good idea. I know you would support that, but I think I don't know. That just came up. I just came up with that idea, so I think that would be
Yeah, I
kind
mean, we had discussed similar ideas before, right?
right. We did, but that's
Yeah,
like
we
in the bowling
discussed.
center, like
Yeah.
easy yellow for medium, red for
I got
hard.
another idea. How about the governing body of the sport not allow it to get so out of control? How about that? How about they make a change and say, no, we're not going to allow this anymore. If you want this sanctioned, if you want it to be real, you now have to bowl on something of this difficulty or better. But here's my point, though. I'm having a good time. I'm just enjoying myself bowling. I actually did something on Tuesday that I usually don't do. I ordered food while I was bowling. I had some snacks while I was bowling. It was quite enjoyable. Usually, I never eat when I bowl. I mean, that's like against the rules to me, pretty much. But I went out early in the day and I went right to bowling from where I was at. I was hungry, so I decided to order some food, and I sat and had some food while I was bowling. It was actually quite enjoyable, having a good time. I brought my daughter with me a couple times to League this summer to bowling, and she's hung out with me and watched me bowl. So that's been fun. And it's a little bit of a family affair this summer for my bowling. The guy that I'm bowling with, his daughters are bowling. His daughter's boyfriends are bowling. His niece is bowling. He's got another buddy who's bowling there. So it's been cool. It's been fun, But again, like there's this weirdness. There's this weirdness where like most people are there to have fun, but then the patch pirate shows up with his name shirt on and 6 balls, and he's here to shoot 800 every week and slap them out and run them out 5 lanes while everybody else is just there to have fun. And it's like, come on, honestly, he's ruining my fun by doing that.
Like
He's ruining my fun. He's frustrating me by doing that. Okay.
it sounds like it's easy to get in your head when you're bowling.
Well, it is because what's the thing I go to? I go to if you had the bowl on something real, you wouldn't be wearing your patch pirate ass shirt, son. You'd be there. You'd be quiet. Wouldn't be no running out and slapping out because you wouldn't be shooting nothing. Okay.
Dude,
So
look, we got a Robert Mushter comment in the
God.
chat. Let's pull that up. On the topic
Can
of
we
honest
get him
words,
on? Is there any chance we could get him on?
I
know
tried
that's an
to.
old story. But I know. I would love to
I
get
tried.
him on and grill him
He
up.
responded too, and he was up for it. But then he might have watched an episode and realized that he was
somebody probably told him, son, don't go on that.
He was getting set up. Anyway, C Lance wants to know what's our opinion on the GOAT pre-bowler Mushter reported like 4 or 5 pre-bowled 900s. It wasn't 4 or 5 pre-bowled 900s. It was 2. And there's a huge asterisk on those 900s. And what I remember the story is that there was nobody around when he pre-bowled. Trying to remember some of the details. I don't want to butcher it, but I remember he pre-bowled by himself. I think he ran the lanes, or he had some really like connections in that bowling center. It was like on a military base, right? And it was with the same ball, and he did it within like a week period, I believe. It might have been in the same pair of lanes. So I don't know. His dad was there, Matt Anderson. What's up, Matt? Good to see you, bro. Your brother had an amazing year on tour, by the way, this year. Good to see him back, bowling healthy. Mushter, man. What a interesting story. Before phone videos and any kind of evidence could have been presented, but the USBC, in my opinion, should have never sanctioned them. They wouldn't sanction Glenn Allison's 900, but they'll sanction his too. Like, come on.
To me, sometimes, like, in different areas in our experience, like, fraud is going on, right? You know that, like, whatever system you look at, whatever organization you look at, fraud is present there in some way. Okay. And at times things happen where the curtain gets pulled back on the fraud and the fraud gets exposed. Okay. And it's like, whoa, does it really go this far? I would say, like, for me and I'm just thinking in my lifetime, like Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. Okay, I'm serious. I'm trying to make a valid point here, though. Like, as a teenager, Rob, like, you didn't look at the office of the president as like a distinguished, high level, like, wow, that's the president. Like, that's the office of the president. No. And then when we're teenagers, this scandal comes out where it's like you see what's going on in the Oval Office behind closed doors. I'm not even going to mention. I'm not even going to mention a lot of the things that went on. But I remember things about cigars and stains on dresses and things of this nature. And it was like, wow, this is what's going on. Like, this is the way I view it, but this is what's going on. And to me, the Mushtari 900, that should have been that type of situation for the entire bowling community at that time. The entire bowling community should have been like, wait a second. If we're going to allow this, then we just have to admit that this is all a fraud. If we're gonna stamp this as legit and give this kid his flowers and say this was legit, then we might as well just shut this whole thing down. It should have been that type of another fraud being exposed thing that comes to mind to me is I forget the name of the precinct, but it was like a big documentary a few years ago about some New York City cops. It was called like the 2-7 or something was the name of the documentary. And it was about a band of New York City police officers who were basically, they were working with drug dealers while they were cops. And they all got caught and this big fraud was exposed. And it sort of asked people it had people asking, how far does this go? How great is this fraud? Is our police department even something that we can trust? Right. And I feel like when that occurred with Mushtari in the 900s, the fact that the USBC was willing to say, yes, we'll stamp this as legit, should have been that type of moment for all of us.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember the year this happened, but this was way before social media. So for me, this was like not when it
wasn't pre-internet, but it may have been pre like Twitter and Facebook and all that. Yeah,
I think it was.
Agree with that.
I think if it was to happen, if that's something like that would have happened in today or in the last 5 years or with the birth of like real like social media and how it is now, I think there would have been way too much pressure on USBC, and I think that would have been close to a drama of what you're saying, like with all the media, the social media bowling podcasts like us and like a lot of other like
oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, so I think there would have been a lot of external pressure or heat coming down on the USBC. I could imagine the comments of a USBC thread congratulating him for his like second 900. Like it would have been a huge train wreck for them.
David Tolson in the chat says the PBA chat page roasted Mushtari. I remember that.
Oh,
I remember that. The message boards.
The
message boards dumped on Mushtari so hard, bro.
Yeah,
and I believe
was getting in
David, am I right? Do I remember right that he was in there? He was on those message boards, wasn't he? And he came on and like interacted with some people, and yeah, it didn't go well.
So Mike in the chat apologized because I said it was like 7 days later. It wasn't. 900 for number one was on December 3rd of 2005, and the other was February 19th of 2006.
Okay.
So I was wrong. It was about 2 months later. It felt like it was.
Wow. So
closer.
December 3rd of this year is going to be the 20th anniversary. We got to remember that, Rob. We should reach out to him again. We should reach out to him again. Try and get him on for the 20th.
I'll tell him we'll be nice to him. I promise. And then
do not promise that because I am not going to be nice to him. Somebody's saying that Timmy Mack interviewed Mushtari. Where can we find that? Can somebody post that? Matt Anderson says, yeah, Timmy said no way in hell he bulldozed.
Someone put the link in our chat. Mike will watch that after he watches.
Oh man, I mean, That's the kind of interview I need in my life right there. For
It's
real.
YouTube. Worst of the week, much terror. All right, Mike.
Worst of the life. Worst of the life. Worst in the history of the game. I
By
mean,
the way,
there's two names you don't want to be associated with in bowling: Munson and Mushtari. Okay, Munson and Mushtari. One's fictional, one's non-fictional.
what about Lemke? Is that added to that?
Oh, probably.
Okay,
Probably. Yeah,
we can add that to the list.
I like that one.
All right, Mike. Let's talk a little bit. I didn't have much terror on the topic of conversation to talk about tonight, but I don't ever stay away from a good much terror conversation. Okay, so the USBC had a Facebook post where they.
What are we still talking about?
Urethane.
What are we still talking about?
Urethane. So I want to go over the results that they posted on their Facebook, as well as attached a PDF. Now, what I did is I took the PDF and I put it into ChatGPT, and I wanted to get more of a high-level overview of what the PDF was, instead of going through all of the mumbo jumbo and techno stuff that I didn't really want to read. So ChatGPT does a good job of like kind of summarizing.
Can I just say you're a big AI guy?
I am.
You are. You're big AI. I want the people to know that. I want the people Rob, big AI guy. Rob is going to have AI doing a lot of things in his life. I can tell already. You're a big AI guy.
It's huge your work. And
you've already told me. Yeah, you've already told me.
And if you're not ahead and are involved with learning how to use it as well as develop it, you're going to be behind and you could be out of a job in 5 years, honestly. But if you're the person that is helping implement it and learning it and help using it, you're going to be very valuable to a lot of companies.
Fair point. Wise words. Wise words from the man in the private sector here. 20-some years experience, boss. So if you're a young bull and you're listening to this podcast, we're not only giving bowling advice here, we're giving business advice now. Okay.
Yeah, don't use AI for bowling tips unless they're like complete basic bowling tips. Don't post on Junior Gold.
When I had to write the Hall of Fame acceptance or an introduction speech for Bill, not to say that I was going to use AI because I'm a wonderful writer and I knew I could do it myself, but I did go to ChatGPT and say, write me a Hall of Fame introduction speech for Bill O'Neill. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was horrible.
It's bad.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things.
I'm anti-AI. I am, Rob. We're going to disagree. I'm anti-AI. I see it in the classroom. Kids use it all the time to write their essays for them, do their writing for them. It sucks.
Here's the thing.
It's not good.
I'll give you guys a piece of advice on AI. AI is good to get the mind started. If you're stuck and you need it to take you somewhere, it'll take you down paths. The advice that I would have is, one, read it, make sure that's factually correct, because I've found ChatGPT giving me wrong information. So I'll give you a good example. We were having a debate at work on if CP3 it should be a Hall of Famer, and I put it into ChatGPT. I wanted to get his comparison with John Stockton on the stats, and CP3 is a no doubt our Hall of Famer. But anyway, that's not the road I'm going down here. It told me that John Stockton didn't have any Team USA gold medals. And if you were alive or knew about the 1992 USC Dream Team, you knew John Stockton was on that team. A lot of people had his jersey. And when I plugged it into ChatGPT, I wrote, hey, John Stockton was on Team USA 92, and I believe he was also on 96. And it corrected itself after I corrected it and was like, oh, yeah, he has 2 gold medals. So ChatGPT isn't perfect, and you shouldn't follow it religiously. But it is a good tool to analyze data that you have. It's a good tool to get your mind started. and get ideas flowing, but you always have to proofread it. You always have to use your own words, but you do need to reevaluate it and review it. So you do have to learn how to use it and teach it and all that stuff. Yes, Ring and 10, correct. So anyway, okay. I put it the PDF. So this is what the survey overview was. It was a 1-question survey they ran through email and social media. And about 20,943 individuals responded, according to the PDF. And the overall results was 57% favored change of some type in the governance of urethane, including 36% of that 57 supporting a complete ban. Okay, a complete ban of it. 17.5% prefer some tighter specs, maybe adjusting it to a 78 hardness level, and then 3% of that 57% favored limiting only the urethane at the national tournaments. Meanwhile, the other 38.5% and 38.6% want to keep the current rules the way they are, and 4% says it really doesn't impact them. So that being said, what are your thoughts, Mike, on that survey results? If you were to speculate and guess, and you were to put on your future prediction hat, what do you think comes out of this, and what do you think the final verdict is of what they're going to do?
I think that the USBC does this from time to time, where they'll say we want people's thoughts or opinions, but what they really want is just data that they can then look at and pick out pieces of the data that they want to make their points that they want to make, right? You can look at this data and point to, well, X percentage said they want this, but on the other side, you're saying, well, another large percentage said they didn't want that, and you're sort of ignoring that, right? So, where this is going to end up, and let me say this, like a total ban on you, I think, the people in the bowling world were running around with their hair on fire for the last couple weeks. Like a total ban of urethane, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Like at the lower levels of the game, urethane is sort of irrelevant. In the recreational house side of the game, urethane is somewhat irrelevant. The sport side of the game at that level, at that league level, is so few and far between that I would say it's not even that relevant there. Where it's really relevant is at the top levels of the game. Okay? I would say it's relevant in college bowling. I would say it's relevant in regional bowling. I would say it's relevant in professional bowling. I would say that it's relevant in the major tournaments run by the USBC. Right? These are really the places where this idea of the impact of urethane is relevant.
Junior Gold?
Yes. Junior Gold, I would say, is another one.
Right? USBC Open Championships. Any
place where you're going to have, I would say sport patterns. Right? Any place where you're going to have sport patterns combined with some competitors who reach a certain level of skill and knowledge. Okay, those are the two factors I would say you would need to make urethane relevant. Once you have those two factors, once you have sport lane conditions where the urethane is going to play, and you have bowlers of a certain caliber and knowledge that know how to use it, know what to do with it, that's where it becomes an issue. Okay. So an outright ban was never going to make sense, right? I don't know if they're going to do anything. I have no idea what the USBC is going to do. They've already said they're not going to do an outright ban. Okay, so what's the next possibility? Well, the next possibility, I think, to me, there's two streets. Street one is they ban it at certain levels of competition. Okay, where if you want to use urethane in your local house league, you go right ahead. You do that so your heart's content. But if you want to use urethane on the PBA Tour in a USBC event or in college bowling, you can't do it. Now, do I think they're going to go that far? I don't. I think what's going to happen is they're going to be somewhere in the middle, where they're probably going to further limit what urethane you're allowed to use. Right? Like maybe make the hardness, maybe update the hardness more. Maybe make sure that people are only using surfaces that are less than a year old. Similar to what the PBA has done. I think that's the direction they're likely going to go in. To me, is that really going to change anything? No, because I think that what we've seen from the PBA doing that already, and the USBC upping the hardness requirement already, is that it really didn't. It made a little bit of a difference, but these balls are still effective and they're still being used a lot.
I think you're missing a big point here.
All right, go ahead.
I think the big point is the fact that there is a lot of cheating going on in the fact where these balls are getting soaked, and they could do that with 78s as well. They could soak the 78s and they could bring those right back down to the low numbers that is causing. I think it's the inability of the USBC to be able to govern the soaking of the bowling balls, especially in the college and junior gold levels, that there, in my opinion, potentially could be a complete total ban of it at those tournaments that we named. The Open, the Junior Gold, the USBC Open Championships, college bowling, right?
Right,
I think
so let me ask this question real quick. If they ban it at those levels and above, right?
Mm-hmm.
To you, is that the same as outright banning it?
No, because they're not going to outright ban it. Like you said, it's minimal in the league.
Those are the only levels where it matters.
Well, a lot of people that doesn't. A lot of people they're thinking about their leagues and they think there's going to get banned. I see some posts going on message boards. Oh my God, like I use it in league. Like, what am I going to do if they ban it in league? Like, it affects those people, right? So for me, I do think that there is going to be a ban in that end of the high-end tournaments, right? But the PBA will keep doing what they're doing. I don't think it affects the PBA. I think it'll affect the US Open, the Masters, and it'll affect the Junior Gold, College, and the Open Championships. And I think they're going to ban all of them in those tournaments.
I think I know your answer to this, but you're claiming that cheating is a major part of why this needs to be done at several levels.
I do.
Do you believe that that's true of the PBA level?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
All right. I agree.
Because I think that
I don't agree with you on the cheating thing across the board. I'll be honest. I disagree there.
What do you mean? It happened in college. They got caught doing it in college. And that was just one small sample of it.
Did they really use the balls in competition?
But I'm just saying, if one people doing it, a lot of other people are doing it that didn't get caught. The thing about the PBA is, if you're crossing on a pair with Anthony Simonson and you soaked your 78 urethane, you don't think he's going to know? Of course he's going to know. You don't think if you soaked your ball in the PBA and you crossed with, a Belmo or Bill O'Neill, you don't think those guys are going to know? You can't do in the PBA. It's too small of a circle when that stuff happens. But college bowling, junior gold, the Open Championships, I mean, this is just so many bowlers that are bowling that it's so hard for the USBC to govern. It really is.
I don't know. To me, banning it at those levels is the same as an all-out ban.
I mean, it depends how you look at it, because then what happens if it depends if like other tournaments pick it up, right? Like what if now I'm going to use the TAT as an example. Okay. The TAT is the USBC sanctioned tournament. Now, is that going to be up to the tournament director to make the decision, right? To ban the urethane, or is that going to be, I think that's what the USBC should do, is that they say, okay, I'm going to ban it in these 5 tournaments, and I'm going to leave it up to the sole proprietors of the bowling tournaments to figure out if they want to do it or not. But I don't know. Like, it's going to be a complete gray area on that end too. Like, do those tournament directors follow suit, or do they I mean, they would have to, right? If the national governing body decides to ban a bowling ball because of potential cheating issues of these balls getting soaked, how could a tournament director not follow suit and do the same thing, right?
Well, that's part of what I'm saying. Like,
right.
There's going to be a trickle down effect.
Correct.
Right. If they get rid of it at the higher levels of the PBA, college bowling, junior gold, like just to name a few, right? To mainly those 3 levels, there's going to be a severe trickle down effect where you're not going to see
correct
people using it at other instances, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I say, to me, banning it at those higher levels is sort of, banning it all together without really saying that you're banning it all together. The use of these urethane balls at the recreational level, or even at the lower levels of the game, is just it's a non-starter. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can put a urethane ball in the hands of somebody who doesn't throw it good, and guess what? It ain't going to change a thing. Okay, so I feel like you need certain pieces in place for this to even be a conversation. And if they ban it at those level where those pieces are in place, then yeah, you're effectively banning it, right? So
correct. But that's what they could say that. Like, I think that might be a little bit of a like, hey, we're gonna kind of ban it, and then we don't look like the really complete bad guys here, right? Because I don't know. I feel like they are setting the precedent with doing that, though.
All right, now we're lining up some guests on this. That's all I'm going to say, right? We're lining up some guests on this, so chances are we are going to have to come back to this nonsense topic and talk about it again at some point in the near future. But I want to end this conversation for now. Okay, I don't want to be talking about this next week. Okay, so here's the last thing I want to ask you, and I will give a thought on this too before we close this conversation and move on. But, there's been a lot of social media posts out there. There's been a lot of talk out there now about the urethane for a couple weeks and the USBC survey and all that. Where do you stand, Rob? What is the solution here? If you were in charge, if you had the power to make the decision and say, all right, this is the solution that we're going with, what solution are we going with? What are we doing?
Ooh, juicy, because there's a part of me that wants to, as a fan, doesn't want to see urethane anymore, and I have to separate my fan hat from my USBC interim USBC director decision. But I definitely would ban it in those tournaments that I talked about. I would ban it at the high level college bowling tournaments, or all the college bowling tournaments. I would ban it at junior gold. I would ban it at the Open Championships, and I would ban it at the Masters and the US Open. And then I would completely get rid of it in the fact that.
But you wouldn't ban it on the PBA Tour.
Well, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't have the power to do that as the USBC director.
All right, what if you did? If you did, you would ban it.
No, I wouldn't, because I think, like I said before, a pro using a soaked bowling ball, one, probably wouldn't get away with it, and two, would probably get a lifetime ban from being on tour if they did get caught.
So your whole thought process on this is all through the lens of people are cheating.
Yes.
I can't. This is a way more complex situation here to me than to be able to look at it through just that one aspect.
Because it's such a big aspect of the other 3 topics that they were talking about, and I think that's the biggest, in my opinion, right? This is just my opinion. I think that's the biggest topic here of all of it, because that's what their job is the USBC is to make sure that the integrity of the game is that people aren't cheating. And I think the only way they're going to be able to, they can't govern 5,000 to 10,000 junior gold kids. They can't govern hundreds of college bowlers going into a bowling alley. They can't check for softness. They can't weigh and do that to every bowling ball. They don't have the ability to do that. The only way for them to solve the problem of this potential soaking balls and cheating is to just get rid of it. Okay. And that's just what I would do. And then I would let the other people at the local levels, when they have tournaments, let them follow suit if they want to. If they want to keep the urethane, then keep it. I don't know. Like, it's a hard topic, but that's at least what I would do from the start. And then, yeah, I mean, people are just gonna, if they want to bowl a big tournament, they're just gonna have to figure out a way to figure it out, I guess.
Oh, the people in the chat are getting right in my feels. I love you people. No, Rob,
Well,
you're wrong on this. I'm sorry.
Well, hold on, wait. I want to pull Jimmy's comment because that's my fan argument. Jimmy says in the chat, Rob, I thought your argument was that urethane is boring. That's my fan argument. I hate watching it. I hate these pros that have made a living off of urethane. That bothers me. As a bowler, that bothers me. I want to see versatile pros be able to make adjustments with their speed, their hand. I hate that about bowling, where someone could just live on the same arrow using the same ball and make a living and become a Hall of Famer for doing one thing very, 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 very great. And that argument, I know will get a lot of pushback because they're still doing the one thing very great, right? But that's just me as a fan and a bowler. But if I'm putting my USBC executive director hat on, I made that previous argument about the cheating.
Okay, so yeah, I just disagree with you because I don't think that a ban in any way is necessary. In fact, I kind of agree with Jason Cantrell in the chat here, and he says, and I assume he's talking about the USBC. They give 0 Fs about integrity. If they did, they would have did something 25 years ago when reactive went out of control. 35 years ago at this point, I feel like. I feel you on that, Jason. You know, I feel like to ban inferior equipment, technologically inferior equipment, makes no sense. Okay, to me, the solution is right here. It's what Fishnuts 300 says in the chat. Make the oil patterns where urethane is out of play. It's very simple. Fishnut, you're right, bro. It's very simple. Put the patterns out where urethane can't be used. Figure it out. You know, for years, oil was used to just protect the lane. It had nothing to do with influencing the playing environment, right? And then when proprietors and lane men figured out that you could influence the playing environment or the rigor of the playing environment by adjusting the oil, from that point forward, the purpose of oil in bowling has changed. And at some point, no longer about protecting the lane surface. It became about creating a pattern, creating a shot, creating something of a certain challenge level or lack of challenge level for the bowlers, right? We need to go back to that way of thinking in this issue. Okay? We need to bring in this idea that you're going to have to design patterns that don't allow the use of urethane. I'm not a pattern expert, but there's enough people out there that know about these things, okay, that can make this happen, all right? Go ahead, Rob. What's the comment you brought up?
Pizza Face. I like the name. I like pizza too. Pattern literally doesn't matter. These kids were showing up to junior gold with 4 urethane balls. They throw it on everything. It doesn't matter. Brian McDonough says every pattern in junior gold was playable with 1 ball. Will Jackson says they use 180 grid on the higher volume patterns. I mean, this is a lot of good arguments too. That in Nico said you think they would have figured it out already.
If Will, what's up? Nice to see you in the chat, bro. Hope all's well. Will's one of my guys. Will's one of my original OG guys from back in the day. Thunderbird Lanes in Philly. What's good, son? Will, I'll say, I don't think the answer is higher volume patterns. I actually think the answer is lower volume. I think the answer is lower volume to get rid of the urethane and make it less effective, right?
Let's go. Agreeing with me. Rob entirely on his urethane take tonight. The pattern's interesting because I feel like people are just using urethane regardless of what the patterns are, and they're just figuring out a way to make it work. But if they're continuously soaking their bowling balls, Mike, doesn't that completely mess up these patterns in a sense where like they could just adjust the softness how they want to based, like, I'm just trying to say, like, if they're cheating and they're soaking these bowling balls, or some people are doing it, like, it's not going to matter what pattern they put out, because they're just going to manipulate the bowling ball so that they could just throw it. And I don't know. I don't know, Mike.
No, that's a fair point, but I think if that's the case, and you have a pattern where it's supposed to be ineffective, and somebody is using it in a very effective way, but then other people are using it, it's not as effective. I think, like you said, it's going to stand out more, right? It's going to stand out more.
Mike, what about that video? Did you see a video of that guy lofting it 40 feet down the lane with a purple hammer? Did you see that video that I posted?
Yeah.
So, like, if you put out less volume in the front of the lane, are people just going to start lofting it over? Like, I don't know. It's just, it got so out of control with these urethane balls that you go to these tournaments, and if they put out long patterns, they're throwing it. If they put out short patterns, now I know the volume of the oil matters, and I know Kegel, they did use a different style oil at the USBC Open Championships, and it was a what would you call it? A non tested oil, or non-released oil, and they used it as I would say a guinea pig for the Open Championships. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe they need to figure out an oil that they don't have to use all these volumes of oil. And I know you made a point where they should start using less volume, right? Now,
see, everybody keeps bringing up, oh, the 360 grit, the 180 grit. Guys, I hear you. I see it myself. But notice how you're all bringing up this idea of needing to make the urethane balls hook more on more oil. That's why I'm saying I don't think the answer is more oil. I think the answer is less oil. I think the answer is perhaps different volumes of oil on different parts of the lane. For instance, Rob, like back in the 90s, back in the early 90s and mid 90s, and I don't know if you'll think the same answer that I'm thinking of anyway, but I have a very distinct answer in my head on this question, because I think there's a very clear and concise answer to this question. Back in the early 90s and mid 90s, what was the challenging shot? If somebody, a tournament director, some tournament somewhere wanted to put out a challenging shot, a hard shot, what were they going to do? Do you remember what the go-to challenging pattern was?
I mean, the stuff that I would bowl 90s, on, that would be
90s.
Yeah,
90s.
You're talking wood lanes. We're talking wood lanes.
Yeah.
And we're talking lanes that haven't been stripped in weeks or months. To me, those were the hardest shots to bowl on.
Okay, all right. I mean, yeah, I don't know if a tournament director would have control over that, right? But
no, I mean, it's complete accident.
Okay, Tim Sorrell's got it. I know, the OGs are going to know this, and Rob knows this. Rob knows the answer. It just didn't come to him. But Tim Sorrell's got it. Robert Howe has it. Reverse block, bro. The reverse block was it. Okay? The reverse block was the pattern that would be put out in the 90s if you were looking to really challenge players. Okay? And the reason that the reverse block back then to me was so challenging was because it actually like inverted what players were normally doing at that time. Most players at that time, reactive had come out. It was relatively new in the mid 90s. Most players were starting to migrate left and throw the ball right. And
so
what the reverse block did is it took away that throwing right. It took away that throw it right. Okay, and it made you finesse the ball through the middle of the lane and use hand position and use touch to control the ball down the lane. Okay, as the lane broke down and probably became a little bit more playable as it got some games on it. But
okay,
go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this, because if the reverse block was put out in the 90s and I had a purple hammer from 2025, I would completely destroy the reverse block.
I don't know if you
because
would.
because the middle of the lanes they hook so much that you would need a ball to control the middle of the lane. And that's when I bowl the high rollers. If anybody ever bowled the high rollers at the old Castaways and the Showboat, remember those sweeper patterns where they used to bowl on, where they were so short in the middle, and if you got it right as 7, the ball never hooked back, and you're sitting there, and I'm trying to stand on 25 with a high performance ball, and you got to be super soft at the bottom of your hand and let the ball try to get it to the right and not get it right as 7 because you were going to pick 3 off the right, and if you miss a little left, you would miss the head pin left because you're trying to throw performance in the middle of the lane. Mike, what would everybody be doing today if they put out that pattern?
Okay, all right, hold on. You're missing my point, though. My point is not that we should put out a reverse block. Precision diesel injection. You're missing my point. That's not my point here. My point is this. At that time in the mid-'90s, when lane pattern designers, when tournament directors wanted to find something that was going to force bowlers to do something different than what they were doing at that time, they were able to do it. And that was back in a time when they were basically blocking wicks on a machine to do it, right? So if they could do it then, they can do it now. Okay, and that's my point. All right, and
I don't think they can. I don't think they can.
The solution is find the pattern designs that are going to make urethane less than usable.
I don't think they can. And that's where I think they've been.
You think it's impossible? You think urethane? It's impossible to shut out urethane. You're wrong. They just did it at the USBC Open Championships. They did it at the US Open. Urethane wasn't really a factor. So there's examples out there where there's been environments where urethane is not playable.
Yeah,
so I'm sorry. You can't sit here and tell me that we can't design patterns and consistently put patterns out.
No, you're wrong.
Punish.
You're wrong.
Urethane.
Because I feel like a lot of the bowling centers, and use Junior Gold as an example, the bowling alley, like the topography and the lane surface takes over, regardless of what pattern you put out. And I feel like that's why you probably saw a lot of urethane getting thrown at Junior Gold, because these lane surfaces are years, decades old. And I feel like the lane surfaces are taking over what the patterns are being put out. I think the Open Championships are a little bit different in the sense that like the lane surfaces are newer. So I don't know. I feel like the lane surfaces and the bowling alleys take over regardless of what patterns they put out, and the urethane just continues to keep playing.
Matt Anderson saying that Andrew Anderson had 258 game 1 with a red 78 team, went on to win all events. Okay, number 1, he's one of the best bowlers on the planet. And number two, I should have clarified this. From what I heard, it was the team event where it was really not usable, where urethane was completely not in play. That's what I heard from people who bowled, and that I got their opinions on that. So I should have clarified that too. All right. Well, listen. I guess me and you are going to have to agree to disagree, as happens a lot around here on these types of issues. I don't agree on that. I don't feel that way. I think with the machines today, and the things that they can do on the lanes, I think it's possible to consistently put patterns out that could stop the urethane and make it less effective.
I don't think they can. I think maybe certain bowling centers.
I'm not saying you're going to shut it out, but I'm saying that you can make it a lot less effective.
I think urethane is the kryptonite, and people, especially these high rev players, have been using it.
All right, Matt Anderson saying a lot of guys threw a game 1 for the team and they finished 6th. They finished high. All right, I don't.
Now forget it.
Now, Matt, would you say that was true across the board, or do you think that your team was an exception to that? I mean that would be my question there. I know that in instances it can work, but talking generally, like, was that the case across the board, or was it not really being thrown all that much because people didn't feel it had that effectiveness, or they could have shot that great of a score with it? See, that's the thing to urethane to me is like, you don't have to ban it. You just have to control the pace at which people can score with it, right? Because urethane does get to that point where, you can hit the pocket with it, but you can only shoot 2-0 or 2-team. and that's kind of the highest game you're going to shoot, right? And to me, if you can create lane patterns that create that, not to say that you have to shoot 150 or 160 or it's completely unusable or you can't hit the pocket or whatever it may be, right? If you could just create an environment where Urethane's pace of scoring is controlled or is not on par with another ball, you're going to force people out of it anyway. You're going to force people out of it anyway because they're not going to be able to keep pace with the score. The reason so many people use it now is because not only can you use it, you can keep pace with the score and shoot better scores than the people that aren't using it. But if you take away a couple hits a game, and it's not as effective, people are going to get out of it anyway.
Frank's saying, why don't we hear proprietors replacing panels that need to resurface? Good luck getting a proprietor to spend money on a bowling center because people are throwing urethane. The proprietors, they don't care as long as people are showing up in open bowling and spending money at their bowling center.
And Machine the Sun, I'm not pretending like only good bowlers use it. I see a lot of mediocre bowlers using urethane, but what I'm saying is that I don't really think there's a lot of relevance in talking about the mediocre bowlers using it. I think this conversation is sort of like, it's almost limited to the higher levels of the game, and I kind of explained that a little bit earlier.
Gary wants to know what happens when you soak reactive. You probably pick 3 off the left, regardless of what pattern you're bowling on. That's a nightmare. All right, Mike. Real quick, I want to talk a little bit about the Tang drama. I know we brought up in the beginning of the show, but there's a lot more people right now that are logged on. So if anybody doesn't know what's going on with some Darren Tang,
wait, hold 1 minute before we get into that.
Yeah.
Just want to point out, a couple people mentioned in the chat, Gary Beck is holding an adult tournament, $50,000 for first place, 1 ball. Okay, but again, it's cool, it's interesting, but is that the answer?
No,
I don't think that's the answer either. But all right, okay, let's talk creator beef.
So Darren Tang put up a YouTube video talking about how he was done, and I was kind of interested because the last time I spoke to Darren was at the All-Star celebrity event, or I should say celebrity event, the All-Star event last year in Phoenix. And man, bright kid, had pretty much gave I asked him some advice and tips and stuff on YouTube, and just real knowledgeable. And so when he put out something that he was done, I was kind of interested because I know he's got a lot of followers and he's got a pretty big YouTube following. And he says, I guess he was done because of his editing or business partner was doing some things that he didn't agree with, called him cocky and arrogant, and had some really bad things to say about him, and that they're not working together anymore. And it was whole really story about this bad business partner and how they broke up, and there's money involved and all kinds of stuff. And it caught my attention just because it's kind of in our realm when it comes to YouTube and media content creating and all this stuff. And obviously he's at a bigger scale. He had his own editor. He's got a lot more working, right? But I guess the one thing that I don't agree with in a sense in this whole aspect is airing that kind of stuff out on YouTube. I think that kind of stuff needs to be behind the scenes, and a simple maybe statement release saying if there was a lot of things going on that would affect the breakup, maybe shutting down the YouTube channel or shutting down a website that he was he charging subscriptions for, just some general statement that we decided to mutually part ways and we apologize, but it's just some really PC type statement. I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate him airing it out, but me personally, that's not my style. I don't really essentially agree with that. And anyway, his business partner, the guy he was talking about, was named Jesse. And then Jesse actually created a response video. And Mike, I started to listen to the response video and then realized that it was an hour and 15-minute response video. I thought maybe he did like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and say, look, whatever he said wasn't true. He responded. I mean, really responded. And I'm not going to watch an hour and 15 response video.
Oh, I am. I am. I'm going to watch the whole thing, no doubt.
Let me know how it goes, because I think he went through piece by piece of his video, and he literally like had a response and a feedback from every part of Darren's video. But in a sense, I still don't agree with airing that out publicly. It also could be held, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but I would imagine if you insulted his character publicly, you might have a lawsuit too, in a sense, where like you defamed his character, you threw this out, and it could get pretty ugly if there's money involved. But I just don't, if these guys work together for 5 or 6 years, I just couldn't see how they could just like break up mutually, be professional about it. But now going into a YouTube response war, either it's the greatest work of the year where they're just trying to get people like us to talk about it, or they just decided that they were going to defend themselves before other things came out. I don't know.
I mean, it was interesting, and I haven't watched the response. Obviously, there's always two sides to a story, and I haven't watched the response from Jesse. But it was, it was interesting to hear some of the behind the scenes drama that was going on. Obviously not all peaches and rainbows when you have a YouTube page with 200,000 followers that's generating some income and generating money, and you have multiple people involved. And I guess my big takeaway from Darren's video that he posted was that he gave this kid 50% equity in what they were doing. And yeah, that's just bad decision, bad business decision. If he would have came to me with that, I would have told him, no way, bro. There's plenty of other people out there that can edit video, and we'll do it just for you to pay them by the hour. Why does your video editor need to be, so tied up in the business of what you're doing? And then I'm not gonna lie, I thought about the dude who seems to do a lot of the filming and editing for Brad and Kyle. What's the kid's name? He's been featured in some of their videos too. I forget his name. Somebody tell me his name. Dennis. I think his name's Dennis, right? And I thought about that kid. And I thought, man, because like, I don't know, I could be completely wrong, but to me, it seems like they pay him in food and Brad and Kyle sweatshirts and bowling lessons. It just does. Every time I see Homeboy, he's got like Brad and Kyle shirt on, and they seem to be getting him something to eat, and they're giving him a bowling lesson. But anyway, I thought about him, and I was like, damn. I'm like, this dude must feel like, man, I should have been getting way more than I was getting. But yeah, to give somebody 50% of something that is based around your name and what. But
the people saying that's not necessarily true now, so we don't know what's not true because we haven't watched Jesse's response.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Like I said, I haven't watched his response, and I'm going to. I'm just saying what my thoughts were from Darren's video.
I know, Nikolai. We can't wait for Big Mike to get a new microphone either.
Oh God!
Tobias says you guys need to watch Jesse's response. You will learn that what Darren said was not true. It's an hour and 15. Man, I don't know. I'd rather watch a fantasy football podcast so I can maybe actually try to make some money. Adam says, Rob, we agree with you, but we are older. We love airing dirty laundry is not great. I love the gossip of social media. Jen has a different mindset. It's true. It's a very, very fair point, Adam. I know if me and Mike ever got into a big heated argument, debate, we would just go to the parking lot and fight each other and then be boys after. That's kind of how we would settle it back the old East Coast style way.
Well, as I said, there ain't a lot to fight about here.
We don't fight it. We're not fighting about money.
Fight about who's going to pay the bill for the hosting or.
All right, let's get to worst of the week because we could just be on here for hours talking about nonsense at this point. Anything else you want to talk about in this part?
No, not really. I mean, I just listen, like
we should get them both on and have them.
Money, man, money, right? Money. I mean, listen, when you create something like that has 200,000 followers and I'm sure is generating some revenue, and I'm sure that there's pressure involved in getting content out there and keeping it going and posting the content and et cetera, et cetera. But again, if that were me, if I were a professional bowler and I wanted to do something similar, I would go the route that it looks like Belmo is going, where he hired somebody. He hired somebody who comes into events that he's paying for them to come into. They produce the content for those events. Done. Right. Obviously it's going to be harder to keep the content coming with a situation like that. But if you have a lot of success with it and you can then build upon that, you might be able to then pay that person more regularly, right? Or maybe make them a salaried part of what you're doing. But in no way, if I'm a professional bowler, would I give anybody an ownership percentage of what I'm doing? I don't care what ownership percentage it is. No. I'm the one generating everything here. My name, my bowling skills, me being on TV, this is what's generating and driving the traffic to this channel, not the way the content is being produced. But
I can't stop laughing. They're calling your headset the Princess Leia headset in the chat room.
It's a good one.
I love that.
It's a good one.
All right, you ready for worst of? Maybe your headset should be worst of the week this week. All right, let's go. Let's do this.
Before we got to talk about this now. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt worst of the week. Very little revenue with 200K followers.
No,
what do you think about that, Rob?
No, I think you're crazy. It depends what you think with little what's your definition of little revenue? Because if you're making, I don't know. It depends how you feel. What's little? I feel like if you have 200K and you're getting 50 to 75,000 views on a video, I feel like you're probably making pretty good money. From my experience, at least dealing with YouTube. Jesse posted that they made 155K this year. I mean, that's pretty good money to me.
That's little revenue.
That's little
revenue, Robert.
And merchandise. Merchandise, they probably did okay. Right, I mean, that's a lot of
subscriptions to the bowling. Learn how to bowl thing.
Merchandise, big margins in merchandise. These shirt companies, they take you for a ride.
Machine the Sun is saying I'm wrong. Jesse's talent got him 150,000 more viewers because of how it was all direct to film. All right, I guess. I guess Machine. I don't view it that way. That's not something that I look at and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go find out who this guy is because that was a cool put together video. But I guess you could be right. There's probably a lot of people out there that are interested in that.
It's a combined effort. It's not just one or the other. It's someone's got to make the content, and then someone's got to do the editing, the filming, and doing all of that. It's a combined effort. You can't do it. One person couldn't do it by themselves, but it takes two to tango. I sound like I'm
Adam Miller saying Jesse's a big reason for the 200K subs. So let me ask this question then: am I wrong that guys like that are a dime a dozen? Because that's the way I view it. I view it like you could go to almost any college campus and find somebody who does what this kid does and does it well or does it even better than him.
You can find a lot of independent, is what you're saying, just like independent contractors.
That's the way I would view it. I mean, people in the chat are making this guy out to be like, the second coming of content. Okay,
I feel like you can find.
So Machine saying I'm wrong. Okay, and listen, I don't know about this space, so I guess I'll have to take your word on that. Adam Miller saying not in the bowling world. Okay, other people are saying, well, there are a lot of editors out there, or he is replaceable. All right, yeah, and again, not something I'm very versed on. So I'm in no way, shape, or form I got to sit here and call myself some kind of expert on social media marketing or what makes the difference in social media marketing or how you build a channel with 200,000 followers, whatever. I'll take your guys' word. I guess perhaps the production value stands out that much. Again, to me, I watch a lot of YouTube, and I think there's a lot of good production value on YouTube. I will watch one person's videos over another because of the better production quality of them. I understand that, but it's eye-opening to me that you're saying that people will be driven to a channel simply because of the production quality, even if they're not interested in the content so much so, or the subject of the content matter being put out.
Tobias wants to know if we're going to hire Jesse so they can get to 200K follow. We're good. That's a
Rob might. After seeing they made 155,000, Rob's going to call him tonight. Rob's going to be on the phone with him tonight.
Yo, if that's the thing, though, if I was on the phone with this kid, and our YouTube channel is almost at 2,000 subscribers. By the way, if you're not subscribed, hit that like and subscribe button right now. Do it. But if I got on the phone with Jesse and I said to Jesse, hey, I'm not paying you, but if we get to a certain amount of followers because of the content, like I would definitely give him more money. There'd be incentive. But for us to say, I'm going to give him a piece of the show, like an actual percentage of the show, Mike would fly out to Arizona and beat me over the head if I ever did something like that. And we don't make any money here. We don't. It costs us money. We lose money on his channel. But I would also incentivize.
Say it again. It costs us money to do this podcast, you dopes. Do you all hear that? Okay.
We all got our followers from the content that we make. There's no editing. We do this once a week. If we wanted to go into that route, we would need to be going to bowling centers and bowling tournaments, going on tour, doing it for a living full time. It's a lot. But if I was a full-time tour player, I would do it. I mean, I have the ability to do it, and I know a little bit about the space. All right. Nico, we don't get any revenue from the ad. We get enough to get back some of our money. Let's just put it like that. We're still losing money.
All right, worst of the week. You ready?
Yeah, mine's quick. Mine's quick.
I'm glad yours is quick because mine is the longest. Might be the longest worst of the week ever.
Okay, so I think this might be the last post from the Junior Gold chat.
Oh, good. We're wrapping that up.
We're wrapping that up. But I this post raised my eyes a little bit because of the fact we talked about this at a literally a nausea type level at this point. So this worst of the week isn't from the original poster. He writes, how do we get our youth confidence back who lost confidence after Green Bay? Okay. The responses were the worst of the week. Okay. There was some good advice, right? Like, hey, take some time off. But then if you start reading through some okay advice, so take time off.
Terrible advice. That's not the answer. Answer ain't take time off. Answer is hit the bowling center as soon as you get home.
But the worst of the week, which I had up and now I lost it, was a post where TJ Smithy, you're the winner worst of the week. TJ's response was, put him back on a house shot. My son shot the lights out when he got home on an easy pattern after having to focus on the tough shots in Junior Gold. TJ, that's probably the reason why your kid lost confidence in Green Bay, because he's probably just continuously living on the house shot. I could give 15 worst of the weeks. Oh, Mike, you're muted. But yeah, that was the worst one out of all of them. Just be happy they're there. They're the best of the worst, or the worst of the best is still being part of the best, was another comment that I saw. You could go down the list of comments to this response that were worst of the week. But TJ, see you in Minneapolis when your kid loses confidence again, and then just put him back on the house shot for the rest of the next year.
Okay.
All right, Mike.
I know I was on mute. I was yelling at people in my household.
Okay.
Bring me a charger because my computer is dying.
Okay.
I'm afraid I'm going to run out of battery before we're done.
If not, I can wrap it up if you get it.
No one's bringing me a charger though. So all right, I don't even know.
The worst of the best is crazy.
It's like the longest. It's like the longest one. Here we go. I don't know how this came across to me. The algorithm is just it's in my brain. This is not a group I'm part of. It was just like suggested to me on social media. It's from Bowl Tech X Facebook group, Bowl Tech X, and this is a post from Rick Hamlin. Okay, strap in, everyone. This is a doozy. Here we go. Is bowling on the verge of extinction? After seeing the conditions that were applied at the national tournament, it's fair to say that certain entities have lost touch with their membership and seemingly only cater to a chosen few. They truly lack any sort of transparency and create issues within the game that are generally unnecessary, seemingly creating a facade of doing something to justify their need, existence, and thus paycheck. Much of the game has transitioned into this. USBC, manufacturers, and now the so-called influencers. Everyone is getting paid except the bowlers. The true business side, bowling centers, for the most part, are surviving as they're providing a product which in most cases the consumer wants. Many bowlers, quote unquote, complain about lane conditions as being too easy. If a business offers a product that few truly want, they cease to be viable and fail, or close. This is where the recreational side appears. They create an environment where non-bowlers can enjoy themselves and will pay for the product. The bottom line is bowlers are the worst thing for the game of bowling. So many will, at the drop of a hat, complain about the most insignificant things and generally alienate others that may be interested in the game. The old guard, wanting the game the way they perceive it once was, when bowling was real, and yet hurting the game to only get a click, a like, or a comment. The game is what is not what somebody wants it to be. Every sport or game evolves, and when allowed, becomes more exciting. Bowling is falling into a rabbit hole where it is becoming boring, less interesting. PBA is on life support, lack of sponsors and lack of necessary viewers. Bowling for less money. Manufacturers are on life support. Simply the snake eating its tail. Ask any bowler or pro shop that the manufacturers have lost touch and are simply confusing the consumers or flooding the market with units. Lane conditions will always be an issue. Lane surfaces or synthetic lanes are only getting older every time a ball goes down the lane. Centers cannot afford to replace lanes, so the lanes themselves become more difficult to navigate. Throw in the marketing and advertising, and bowlers utilize the wrong bowling ball, intensifying the matter. The flip side is creating impossible conditions to combat the aging lanes. Bowlers struggle due to a true lack of education or understanding of what's actually occurring. Patterns have created a true level of confusion or misinformation. Bowlers have come to a state of believing a condition should do something when in actuality there is no such thing. Worse, relying on a bowling ball can save a lack of ability or knowledge, proper understanding. Buy a ball before ever considering a lesson. Enter bowling influencers. Truly believe they offer actual knowledge or information when in reality have created an online persona to generally satisfy an ego versus anything else. The true amount of knowledge is minimal at best, regurgitation most times. Social media will be the end to competitive bowling. Knowledge and experience is no longer a variable. Influencers that have been in the game for a minute sounding as if they're an oracle, when the true bottom line is clicks. Clicks create payment, and thus the rabbit hole continues. So many simply trying to stay relevant, to stay on staff or get clicks. Between new ball releases and ball videos, you never see this happen in other sports or games. And in the long run, hurting the game without care. It's all about the now and then they become somebody. I realize I come across to many as negative, but the reality of the matter is I see the game from an outside vantage point. I see the whole picture and from opinions on what I see or hear. I care about the game but have no chance of making an impact any longer. Too many due to social media believing they know more. A game that can't be won or one I chose to play. Perception is too big to overcome. I see read it often. I will no longer be Don Quixote. Thus, I'm backing away from social media for my own well-being, if nothing else. That's what this post is about. It's about this guy quitting social media. That's what this is about. For my own well-being, if nothing else. I do not choose to argue. Why is the man beating his head into the wall? Because it feels good when he stops. All it takes is one person to erase what 1,000 good ones can do. Those that choose to want to improve, I will continue to be there for. Just can't waste my time anymore. Too many looking for a magic wand instead of truly choosing to work at it. Want to truly improve and understand what it takes. Knowledge doesn't dissipate. Quick fixes will continue to fail. Athletes will always fall on excuses versus solutions. It's an easier path. Bowling has created excuses, not solutions. Woo!
Frig,
Woo!
what in the world?
Now, I'm not going to get into a breakdown of what I agree with and what I disagree with in that post. I'm going to be honest with you. I agree with some of what my man is saying. That's not why I gave it worst of the week. Whoa, brother. Yo, maybe they should be using AI to edit their post a little bit.
I think Machine the Sun sums it up. I think our boy needs some better meds. I think he I don't know. He was cooking.
At one point, I read it, because I did read that whole thing the first time. I'm not going to lie. I actually thought he was talking about us for a second. I did. That's why I kept reading. So I was like, this dude talking about us. And then I got a little deeper into it. I was like, nah, never mind. He ain't talking about us.
I don't know, because when he was saying some of the stuff, like I was catching some of the stuff because you were reading fast. But I'm like, man, like he has some good points. Like I'm like, yo, this is
saying, I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree. I didn't give it worst of the week because of what he's saying, per se. I gave it worst of the week because of some of what he was saying, and then the ranting aspect.
The ranting and raving. All he really needed to just say was pain, misery, depression. That's it.
Right.
And just post that.
Right. He could have summed it up.
Yeah. All right. We're good. We're ready to wrap up here?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna be quick because my computer's gonna die, and you're gonna have to do our little goodbyes tonight. I'm not gonna do them.
Okay.
We bash on Bolero a lot. Yes, we talk about Bolero. Oh, Bolero, bad. They don't do anything good. Okay, out in your way, Rob. This was another post that was suggested to me. Arizona Bowlers Forum. Okay.
Yeah, I've shared it.
Bolero Avondale. Right, Bolero Avondale is allowing people to call in, and you can actually book a pair with one of like 40 some patterns on it. They have like 40 patterns to choose from, and you can call up and give them a few hours notice, and they will do a lane for you with that pattern. That's awesome. That's what we need more of. That's what we need more of. Just that Bolero. Yes, that's what we need more of. Who's running that Bolero? Clearly somebody who's a bowler, who knows about bowling, cares about the game, etc.
Just give. But that's all we're asking is just give competitive bowlers. Just give us a chance to bowl on it. Give some people who maybe want to practice for a junior gold next year, the kids to practice. I don't know what the price is to do that. That would be my next question, to see if it was actually something affordable, or are they charging an arm and a leg to do it?
It's $98 an hour.
How much?
$98 an hour. No, I'm only kidding.
Oh my God!
I'm only kidding. I know you would all believe that because Bolero's prices are that crazy.
I literally believed you.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. I don't have a really closing. I start physical therapy this week for my back, so I might be able to. That's growth for me because I've been
Good luck.
going down a staff for like 6 months already.
Hope it goes well.
Practicing every once in a while, but it'll be good just to be able to start really, hopefully being able to bowl. If I want to start bowling again, I think it's going to be recreation at this point.
The Ring in 10 says you have to buy chicken fingers and a giant hamburger with it too. Last week at Lig, I was hungry. I said I got a snack. I ordered their appetizer sampler. Yo, $30. $30 for the appetizer sampler.
Yeah. This world we live in today, my friend.
All right. We appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We always love the people in the chat.
Follow us, Brooklyn Rob 11.
Follow, like, subscribe. 155,000 they made last year. Like and subscribe.
Yo, like it, subscribe. Keep subscribing. Make
Follow
up
us
a
on
new
social
Gmail
media.
accounts.
We do most of our talking on X. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. I'm at the 215. We will very likely be here next week for a show. Maybe we can get through a show this summer without talking about urethane.
If everybody makes 25 Gmail accounts in the chat and subscribes to our channel, we'll get close to the Darren Tang level of subscriptions. So, all right, people. Have a great night. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Later.
Later, guys.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.